those, it's all hands on deck for Election Day at any news organization, especially at NBC, well, at all of them. So Steph will be there all night, so I'm going to have a little soiree, chez moi, tomorrow night. The girls are going to come over, and we're going to kibitz, and we're going to nosh, and we're going to discuss, and we're going to watch, and it's going to be a fun night. And did we say we think this is going to be decided by midnight or no?
We put up a poll. The poll has it.
I think the poll said it's going to be decided before midnight.
Before midnight was like 55%.
When do the polls close?
The polls close different times in different places, and there's actually one of the controversies that arose over the weekend was a poll in a place in a highly democratic place in Las Vegas stayed open like supposedly close to midnight, and they were saying that it was because people were online and needed, like, once you're online,
then you have to be considered.
They have to be considered there as if you're there because there's going to be lines.
Right.
Tomorrow, just that whole thing's going to be interesting tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm more interested in watching coverage of it than I am in what's actually happening. You know.
Yeah. Then.
And a lot depends. Like, you flip around. You want to see who's got who. You want to see pre-game analysis. You want to see post-game analysis.
All right.
You want to see game analysis. What?
So there's a lot of different things that will happen in terms of at the voting. This
is what Stephanie's covering tomorrow. She's basically covering security because both of the candidates will be here in New York, and if something happens, who knows? He's already gone on record. Didn't he go on record to say that he will perhaps not support her if she wins? Who knows? Whatever, doesn't matter what he said. His supporters, if his supporters have a problem with him not winning,
well, do you think her supporters are going to support him?
I think.
Or are they all going to secede?
I think. I don't know. I think they'll be calmer than fractions of his supporters. But what I found interesting was all his comparisons to Brexit, right? He's like, remember what happened to Brexit? But, like, Brexit was Brexit turned into a disaster for the most part. And Brexit happened because people didn't get out and vote. That's what happened with Brexit, and he's out there basically comparing himself to the Brexit situation.
Yeah, I mean,
he's basically like, hey, guess what? If they don't vote, I could win. So that's the only way I'm going to win. So I'll keep you guys from voting.
Who do you think has more momentum?
I think he has momentum, and I think he's had more momentum the whole time. She's never had momentum. She's been playing defense this entire campaign. Less is more with her because she's not a fantastic campaigner, and there are all these issues that have crept up every week about the emails and the server and the foundation and.
Well, she got exonerated on some level.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yes, and if she wins, what a great relationship her and Comey are going to have in that White House. But I just think that he has more momentum because he just is constantly making news, good, bad, or otherwise. And she's forwarding news every day.
So who do you think's going to win?
I don't know. I mean, part of me is like, obviously she's going to win. She has more states. All the swing states are swinging towards her. But then again, like, as it was described this morning, he not only has to hit a home run across the country, but he has to have like an interception as well, like a really impressive interception to win. But every time we say he's done and dusted, he's right there, like in the polls. So I don't know. But I will say this: you have to vote. Every vote counts because everyone that just assumes she's going to win, well, my state's decided already. I don't need to go out and vote. I think that could play into it. But I don't know, and I'm like excited and anxious to see what happens.
You're going to support whoever wins?
Yeah. My original issue with Trump was I didn't want the Supreme Court to be filled with right-wing judges, right? Like I felt like that could affect me somehow with regards to gay rights and DOMA and all that stuff. But I don't think it's that black and white. Abortion rights, all of it. I don't think it's that simple. So I think that yes, will I support who wins? Of course. That's the way the framework of our country was built. That's why we are as civilized a society as we are. That's why we're supposed to be the world superpower, because we handle political transitions in as
Because
civil.
we're a great country.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
You don't think we're a great country?
No, I mean, yeah. Like, could we be better? Of course we could be better.
Of course, but everybody can be better.
Correct. But we're the United States of America, and there are towns in this country where people are living on the street. Because that is mind-boggling to me.
But
Like,
if we were perfect, we would only have one way to go.
I don't think perfection is the answer, but I think we could have a bigger middle class, maybe less up top and less on the bottom. That's sort of where I'm at right now. But then again, it's a tall order for anyone that's coming into office, I think. So this is it. This is our last, this is the stretch. This is the home stretch. Like, this is it. The last 24 hours, they're all out campaigning. They're making their last pleas and thank yous. And then what happens tomorrow? We all sit back
Tomorrow
and
people vote, right? Some people.
wait. Right, but what do the candidates do tomorrow?
I guess they go to the voting stations. I mean, Trump went on this, like, he's working like a madman.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
And
She's been working too. She was out in the rain. Did you see that speech of hers?
well, she was on with Jay-Z.
Well, that was, yeah.
What did you think of that?
Do you think it looked desperate? Is that why you're asking?
No,
She
it
was
was
also on
actually
with Katy
interesting.
Perry.
Like, there was a big deal about the lyrics. That, like, he has a lot of curse words in his lyrics, and she's been on, like, there's been this whole thing about Trump using bad language and everything, and that it's not presidential, and would you let your kids listen? And they were saying that, you know,
There's a difference, though. She didn't use them.
but she had him at,
was more
she had it
associ-
at her event. Like, if you're going to have somebody come up and start cursing at your event, and it's a sanctioned,
All right.
it's a sanctioned Hillary Clinton event, it didn't, like, you wouldn't want your kids listening to Jay-Z
Correct.
all, you know.
I didn't know he actually cursed.
Yeah, like, they
night.
actually played it on CNN yesterday, and they had it was on the Aaron Burnett show, and they bleeped out the entire thing. They were asking some congressman who was, like, pro-Trump, pro Clinton, and he's like, well, I don't know what he said because it was all bleeped out. Like, the entire thing was bleeped
Are you
out.
kidding? He said that?
Yeah, like, he said he didn't hear it, so...
Why
but he
do
was
you-
making the point that it's not the president, but it was like a sanctioned event that people are bringing their kids to,
Right.
you know, to see the president, you know, to see, like, you're going to an event to see the future, president of the United States, you know.
Potentially. Yeah.
Those people who were going there were going to see the future president. I don't know what, somebody's asking if you saw what Scotty Nell Hughes said on CNN. I don't know what
I
the,
did.
no, John, if you could.
I didn't get much chance to watch the Sunday morning shows this week. I watched a little MS this morning, but
Is that the marathon? Because of the marathon?
it's because of the marathon that is parenting in my house, but not because of the New York City Marathon. I was on ABC.
There was something about, somebody said something about a Mazel Tov. Oh, I don't know, John. He's talking about a Jay-Z video instead of a Molotov cocktail. I have no idea what you're talking about, John.
I don't know.
I know what a Molotov cocktail is. I just don't know what the.
Don't know what that's all about.
Connor, maybe you can pull that up. The thing. Scotty Nell said. Scotty Nell. Search Scotty Nell. John is saying it's big news, so it must be big news. We'll get on it. We try to cover all the bases here.
Not all of them get covered.
Not all of them get covered. But our audience thinks that Clinton's going to win, like, rather handily.
Maybe.
Like 60.
But I think everyone's just covering their bases, just in case. So
Yeah.
it's not like, no one saw this coming.
Well, there's been a lot. I'll say this, like, I know a little bit about social media, and
I would say the majority of social media swings Hillary.
well, Trump has a really powerful Twitter account, and the conservative movement, the Tea Party movement, actually got started on Twitter, they're very powerful there. It'll be like, I think the whole Twitter influence will be really interesting to see, like what
or no ground game.
A no ground game, and you certainly have. I mean, what do you think of the press's role during the entire election? What's the?
I'm not nearly as bent out of shape about the press as everyone else is. I think a lot of what they're doing is reacting to what the candidates do, and it's said. And if they were,
you don't think they lean
left?
You don't think they're leaning towards Clinton?
Look, it's hard to lean towards someone who has made comments the way they've made, and the press is used to covering people who have taken a very traditional path to the White House. So to have a presidential candidate who is overheard talking about being able to, who uses the P word and who's able to do this and that to women, and a lot of, women who've accused, you put the media in a difficult position because they don't want to give anyone a free pass, and they want to be able to cover the story without looking like they're supporting the other guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does make sense. It seems like, to me, it has seemed that there's like it's actually weird. Like, you have this whole CNN Donna Brazile thing.
That was terrible.
And then there was another thing today that came out that they, what's Wolf Blitzer? There was something with Wolf Blitzer today.
Really? I didn't know
that. He had. I'm trying to remember what they were saying, but on some level, he was asking the DNC for questions for his Trump interview. I'm probably getting it wrong, but when he was interviewing Trump, but it does seem that there's like this systemic integration.
But then when Matt Lauer interviewed,
and they were critical of Matt Lauer.
They were critical of Matt Lauer. So
But how many times outside of that is that Matt Lauer interview the only time?
There are a lot of Fox interviews that have went the other way.
Right. So Fox goes the other way, and so you end up with, it's just like instead of being like, it does seem like instead of objectivity.
Listen. This election is not about the Democrats and the Republicans. It's not about which way the media has been leaning. It's about individuals, right? Like, if it was a Mitt Romney or whoever else, Paul Ryan, like, I don't think we would be talking about the media doing this. It's about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I think people aren't voting for the party as much as they're, or voting against the party as much as they're voting for or against the individuals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just seems like there's a different rule for the Trump stuff. Like, journalists, I think, have like articulated that because of the danger of Trump and everything.
Yeah.
But then to see Trump with like 40%, even 40% of the country going for him.
Right, but he still has to win.
For him to win is a different thing. But I think, like, last week we were talking about the Trump brand,
right? And
we were talking about the fact that there was a question about whether he hurt the Trump brand, even by this whole.
Yeah.
But now he has 40% of the country behind him.
Correct. Now, how much of this goes away, and do we all sort of unify at any point, or is this just going to be a divisive movement?
I'm always an optimist, so I think that the leadership, I think everybody will be surprised no matter what happens, that the country will coalesce. Like, I think that there's, I think that people will they'll figure out how to get along.
Look, if nothing else, I think this country has reared its uglier side with regards to white supremacists and, like, those fractions of groups that are just those hate groups that have come out and wanted to be known and be heard. And I guess we didn't hear so much from them in years past because there wasn't ever a candidate who would allow those groups to support them.
Well, he didn't he?
Did he denounce them?
He renounced support.
Renounced them?
Yeah, I don't think he. Yeah, like, I don't think he accepted their.
I don't think he accepted it, but he took a long time before he didn't.
Yeah, but it's.
Anyway, look, I'm just saying, I'm excited to watch the way I was excited to watch the debate. Gonna have some crudité, gonna have some good, clean food, And boy, I wish I could drink. Remember we talked about this a while ago.
Right.
Election night,
Tonight,
we wish we
well,
could
I
drink.
wish we could be drinking.
Yeah.
So let's go down some states and see who you think's going to win where.
I'm not as good at that. I know a couple of swing states, but I don't know. I don't know who generally runs red and blue as well as the other ones.
Okay.
Just not as. I mean, I know that I know what states we're watching. I know our swing states. I know we'd love to see the Floridas, Ohio's, Arizona's, Georgia, North Carolina. Like, there's some big states that we're definitely going to be watching for.
Michigan.
Unlike the coastal states, Michigan. But at the same time, I don't know. And I'm curious, like, how do you think they watch? Like, are they sitting in a room with their family? Are they with their campaign managers? Are they, like, in a bathtub, not wanting any part of it? Where's Trump watching this? Because they have to...
I would imagine Trump's watching it at a Trump property, just as,
of course.
like, branding.
What if he was at, like, a Hilton?
Yeah. Trump's, so he's probably watching it at Trump Tower or something. I'd imagine, like,
Right.
that's the...
She's watching it from probably Chappaqua, getting equine
Right, I mean, that was
therapy.
the whole thing with yesterday. Like, it was interesting that she didn't mention the whole email thing.
Right. You know what? She's never mentioned the email thing.
Yeah.
That's her problem from the beginning. Is she never mentioned the email thing?
I think she did at one time say she thought it was a mistake. Like, I think she said that
this latest thing.
not the latest thing. Yeah, not on the latest
No,
thing.
no.
She
I'm
didn't
saying
touch.
from the very beginning.
Oh,
You
yeah.
Jason Giambi it and you walk away. You
Right.
come out. This is what happened. I'm really sorry. I'll
Here's
answer all your
everything.
questions
Here's
now.
everything.
This is it. This is everything.
Right.
I'm still a better candidate than the other side. Here we go. Let's move forward. She never did
Bury
that.
it.
She's actually a terrible campaigner.
It's yeah. I mean, it's crazy if you think about, like, how far out people think he is,
Right.
and how much, like, his party, like, they're like the Bushes left him, right? Like there are people in his party that, like, left him, and
I know.
it's still so close. I mean,
But what does that say? What does that mean?
I think it's just fascinating. I mean, like, as an observer of this, like, I just think it's a fascinating.
So do you think
time.
that the GOP party changes after this election, or we're just going to go on the way they were, and then next cycle it's going to be a more traditional standard
I
Republican?
think if he loses, I wouldn't be shocked to see him stick around. Like, I mean, he's changing the GOP. I mean, like, he's raising issues that, you know, like the whole demographic of everything. Like, he's been, say what you want, like the whole, you know, the workers in the United States. The fact that I think he's drawing a lot of them over, and that's where I think this is going to turn. Like, you know, where the union people, you know, if union people go for him, and it's a big thing, and that's a big shift. Like, they were always, you know, the unions and the, you know, the steel workers and the factory workers were always, you know, firmly ensconced in the Democratic Party, and
Yeah.
he seems to be attracting them, and that's where, you know, if you listen to his speeches, that's where he's concentrating.
Sure.
You know, like, he was in Minnesota, he was in Minnesota yesterday.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know what it
It'll
all
be
means,
interesting.
but it'll be very interesting. Did I just swear? I don't
No.
know. I don't-
Believe me,
not
my
on
red
purpose.
flags would have gone up.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with swearing.
All right, so it'll be interesting, and we'll pick this up again tomorrow.
It definitely will. So we're gonna come back in a minute. We're gonna reset for the we'll go over our movie brackets.
Yeah, I want to know what's happening. Have people started voting? Have we already?
We've actually closed the first round, so
Okay,
we're gonna
cool.
go. We just started putting up some of the second round, but we'll do our first round review, and we will do a second round.
Perfect.
We'll start assessing the second round. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna stay live here, obviously.